stuff is broke, we can fix it. This is a Techegy Fix It video.
I have two Sega Genesis here. Both of them have issues, so I want to take a look at them and see if maybe we can repair them. This one here actually says 4 parts. Got these from a friend of mine. Runs a store called Red Genesis in Gastonia, North Carolina. So check him out. He's got some of the cool toys from when we were all children. So let's look at this Genesis. This one right here, I think is going to be the easier one to repair. If I turn it on, this doesn't come on. No, we're not getting any light. But I noticed that if I wiggle the power cable, it does come up. So this one right here most likely is a power jack issue. And this right here is a typical issue that you see with Genesis, where this jack right here, comes loose inside. That one right there we'll be able to repair. So we'll take this machine right here apart. So let's look at the other one. The other one I think is going to be a little bit more of a challenge. Might be beyond my expertise. But let's take a look at it. Get this bad boy in here. I'm not very good. There we go. Those do not go in there very good. Cartridge here out. We'll put the cartridge in over here. So let's see what this one right here does. So if I turn this one right here on, we do get a power light, and we're missing some lettering. So let's see. Yeah, that right there that's some kind of video issue. Again, not sure if we're going to be able to fix it. We'll take a look at it, the various things that could go wrong with it. But hey, the music works. So the sound chip on this one does work. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pause out, I'm going to take both of them apart, and we'll take a look inside. Got all the screws out of this one, and to show you how you take it apart is you do have 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Take those, the top at that point will just pop right off, and when you open it up, you'll see the heat shield. This one here is actually in really good shape. You'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws that you'll have to take out. When you take those out, you'll be able to just lift the heat shield up. It does get caught a little bit on the one side over here, so you'll have to kind of finagle around that, and I'm trying to do it one-handed here. There we go. So now that's off. So now we expose the motherboard. So taking a look at the motherboard, there are 2 more screws that you have to take off, one on each side of the cartridge slot. So when you take those out, which I've already done, you should be able to just lift the motherboard right out of the Sega. So let me pull that out. Let's set this down. So this one right here, this is what a Sega version 2 motherboard looks like. Flip it around, let's show you the back. I thought it had already been repaired the first time I ever saw this, but there are 2 jumper cables. That is normal. If you see that on there, that's totally normal. So the issue with this one right here is the power jack. So I'm going to take a look at it. And oh yeah, look at that. It rocks. If hopefully you guys can see that. So what we're going to have to do, it's a very easy little fix. You can take a look right here, and you can actually see it moving in the slot right there. So we'll put a little bit of solder on both of these 2 areas right here. That should fix this motherboard. So let's take a look at the other one. So this one right here, I'm not going to show you how to solder. I'm just going to do it, and I'll come back and we will show it working. So I'm going to turn this one right here off. I've already taken the liberty of taking the screws out of this one. So let's open this one right here up. Disconnect the cables. So this one right here, not as nice of a heat shield. Looks like there's a little bit of corrosion. And I've already taken all the screws out to make this a little bit easier for the video. So I'm going to pull it out of here. So we'll put this one over to this side. And when you do take it out, let me show you the bottom of this real quick. When you do take it out of take the motherboard out, you will have this piece right here. This right here sits underneath the cartridge slot. Okay? And the importance of this piece right here is to keep the cartridge so you can put the 2 screws back in. So you're going to want to make sure not to lose this spacer if you take your Sega apart. So this one right here, the video port looks okay. It's in there really well. I did look at the traces. That's one thing to look at. is to look at all your traces on it. This one here also has the 2 wires, the 2 jumpers. So again, that is normal. It's not the best job in the world, I have to say, on this one. The other one was much cleaner. But I'm kind of looking through, see if there's any areas where maybe a trace is broken. There are some other videos. I mean, I'm seeing a couple areas that I could touch up a little bit with the solder gun while I have it out. But most likely, the video chip is bad on this. That's a typical issue when you have a Sega 2 that goes bad. It's not something that I would be comfortable repairing. It's beyond my skill set. So I probably will not repair this one. But again, I'm look at all the capacitors. All of them look clean. None of them are bulging. So there. So let's see what happens after we run a little bit of solder. And again, I'm going to take a closer look at this motherboard to see if there's anything I can do with this one right here. But this one right here with the video issues, I think is not something I'm going to be able to repair. I've done the solder on the 3 leads here. Put just a little bit more solder on. Cleaned it up a little bit. This piece right here doesn't move now. Remember, it was rocking really, really badly earlier. It's not rocking at all now. It's on there pretty good. I might also just put a little bit of a rubber cement on each side of it to give it a little bit more, make it a little bit more sturdier, because obviously this is going to get plugged in a few more times. So, but right now it doesn't move at all. I'm going to plug it in. I did put a cartridge on it. Just want to make sure it powers up before I put it back down, put it back together. And sure enough, there we go. This one right here, very easy fix. I can wiggle the power cable all I want. It doesn't turn off. So that right there was the issue with this one. One thing you're going to want to do, I'm going to go ahead and unplug that. One thing you want to do is, while you have this thing apart, I highly recommend cleaning, using a toothbrush, getting in there and making making your system look clean. You can see there's kind of some dirt in there. Yeah, they get kind of messy over the years. So before you put it back together, clean this thing off really, really well, and you can go from there. We will. I'm going to take a look at the other motherboard and see if I can see any traces broken on it. But we do have one of the 2 of them fixed. So let's see where we're at. I've got it down to, I've got one repaired, and I got one not repaired. And the one that's not repaired has a video issue. Everything I'm reading could be the video chip. So it's, again, kind of beyond where I'm going to go to. So I'm going to probably just get rid of it. I've got one that works. One of the things I did want to talk about is I did clean these. These are a lot cleaner now than what they were, the shells. And one of the things, actually I got to do this a little bit better. One of the things I like to do once I get the shells cleaned is I do like to put a protectant on it, kind of bring it back, make it look almost like new. I use this Meguiar's stuff. This obviously not sponsored by them, but I'll put some of it on a rag and just kind of show you what this stuff right here does. And this is something I do. I've used it on ColecoVisions, I've used it on Ataris, but if I put this stuff on here, it really brings the system back. I mean, it can see how nice and shiny and pretty it's looking. Does not take off the Genesis logos or any of the markings on it, but it's basically car. Well, it's not basically. It is car protectant. So it's made for plastic, and I put that on there, and you see how nice and shiny that right there now looks. I will do it to both of them, but you can see it looks much nicer than what I did before. I'll do that. I'll put that on the bottom. I'll put it on top, and get this shell looking really, where it's presentable. So there you go. And again, this is just Meguiar's Natural Sign Plastic Protectant. So again, not had a problem with it. And you can kind of look at the difference between the two, the one I did and the one I didn't do. So again, this is MM. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and we will see you on our next podcast.
Your stuff is broke, we can fix it.